Welcome back to Explaining Everything, the channel where we dive into the stories and mysteries behind everyday things. Today's question comes from one of our curious viewers, Charlie Crusher 99. Thanks for the suggestion, Charlie. You asked, why are most keys made of brass instead of steel? At first glance, it feels like a no-brainer, right? Steel is strong, tough, and has that superhero vibe. Brass? Brass sounds like the background section in a marching band. But here's the twist. Your keys are not trying to win an arm wrestling contest. They're designed for precision, reliability, and yes, a little bit of shine. So let's unlock the mystery behind why brass keys dominate your keyring, right here on Explaining Everything. If you were to put brass and steel in a boxing ring, steel would win every time. It's harder, stronger, and would probably flex for the crowd after knocking brass into the ropes. But keys don't live in a boxing ring. They live in locks. And locks are picky. Locks are basically tiny mechanical puzzles. Inside are pins, springs, and little chambers that all need to align with your key's notches. If the key is too tough, like steel, it doesn't just slide in nicely. It's like trying to jam a brick into a toaster. Sure, it fits eventually, but something is going to break, and it's probably the toaster. Brass, on the other hand, is soft. Not marshmallow soft, but soft enough to shave down into precise cuts without destroying the lock. Think of brass as the polite roommate. It's strong enough to hold its shape, but gentle enough not to ruin the house. Steel? Steel is the roommate who insists on blending protein shakes at 3 a.m. So right out of the gate, brass wins because it's cooperative. Keys aren't about raw power. They're about finesse. Imagine you're at the hardware store getting a spare key made. The machine whirs, sparks fly, and 5 minutes later, you've got a brand new copy. If keys were made of steel, that machine would be crying. Brass is a dream material for locksmiths. It's easy to cut with precision, doesn't eat up cutting tools, and produces clean, sharp edges. Steel, meanwhile, would wear down the blades faster than a toddler with a new pair of scissors on your curtains. There's also consistency. Brass doesn't throw weird tantrums during the cutting process. It doesn't chip or warp unpredictably. You stick the blank in, trace the original key, and bam, you've got a copy that works on the first try. This is crucial because keys aren't kinda sorta tools. They either work perfectly or they don't. Nobody wants to stand in front of their front door jiggling a steel key like they're playing maracas at a bad salsa concert. Brass makes sure the first twist is the right twist. Now, you might be thinking, but wait, brass is softer. Doesn't that mean the key will wear out faster? Surprisingly, no. Here's where things get fun. Brass is tough in the right way. Because it's softer than steel, brass keys wear down before the lock does. That's not a bug, it's a feature. Replacing a $3 key is way better than replacing an entire lock system. Brass keys are basically sacrificial heroes. They take the beating so the lock doesn't have to. Steel keys, meanwhile, are too proud. They'll stubbornly grind down the lock's internal pins, which costs you way more in repairs. It's like if shoes refuse to wear out, so your feet did instead. Nobody wants to replace their feet. And don't let the softness fool you. Brass is also corrosion resistant. Unlike iron or steel, it doesn't rust into a flaky mess. Ever found an old brass key? It might look tarnished, but it still works. A steel key left out in the rain? Congratulations! You now own a tiny metal popsicle stick. So brass isn't just durable, it's durable in a way that saves you money, stress, and late-night calls to the locksmith when your door refuses to open. Here's something most people don't realize. Brass is naturally antimicrobial. That means bacteria don't love hanging out on it. Now, your keys aren't exactly the cleanest objects on earth. They sit in your pocket with lint, spare change, and maybe that one tic-tac you keep forgetting about. But brass has this built-in no germs allowed policy. It slowly kills off microbes that try to live on it. Steel, on the other hand, is basically a bacterial Airbnb. Sure, it's strong, but it doesn't kick out the microscopic freeloaders. This antimicrobial bonus is like the cherry on top of the brass sundae. It's not the main reason brass was chosen, but it's a happy accident that makes your keys slightly less gross. And honestly, we'll take all the help we can get. So, brass keys aren't just shiny little trinkets. They're a smart solution to a picky problem. Brass is soft enough to work with locks, but tough enough to hold shape. It's easy to cut, wears down before the lock does, resists rust, and even makes life harder for germs. Steel might sound cooler, but in the world of locks, brass is the quiet champion. The material that does its job so well, you barely notice it. And really, that's what you want from a key. So the next time you twist one open, give that little golden hero some credit. If you learned something new, don't forget to like, subscribe, and maybe don't hide your keys underneath your welcome mat. It's too obvious by this point. And hey, if you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for tuning in, and join us next time here in the channel that answers all the why, what, who, where, and how questions you've always wondered about, here on Explaining Everything.